Okay, Grandpa Frank here again. This is part two for the blemishes. So last time we talked mostly about blindness, but there's a lot more. And I'm just going to run through them really quick. And I'm not going to really spend a whole lot of time because I really don't have a lot of teaching on it. But just to be aware of some of these things. Okay, getting back to Leviticus chapter 21, verse 18. For whatsoever man he be that hath a blemish, he shall not approach. A blind man, we looked at that last time, or a lame. So lame is unequal measure, unequal measure. I've known people who have part of a limb that are missing. When I was in high school, I had a friend, and their arm only went up to the elbow, and they just had teeny tiny fingers. So I had as a teacher, I had a girl, a girl as a student, and she had an extra digit. Not exactly another full finger, but off of one finger, she had like a little partial finger that was there. So lame is, and sometimes one person has one foot, one leg shorter than the other. So someone is lame, someone is unequal measure, it's mentioned here. Um, Flat nose, and it just seems kind of interesting. Most Asians we know have had flat nose, but why is that flat nose? And so the pastor from his teaching mentioned that no discernment, no discernment. So imagine he gave the example of I smell a rat. So your nose, you're able to notice things. Like for example, right now my wife is in the kitchen, she's cooking, and I can smell when I smell the garlic or when I smell the chili, I have a reaction to that. I'm usually sneezing or my eyes start to water. So your nose helps you notice something. Discernment is the key there. Superfluous, superfluous, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that word correctly. So superfluous would be something extra. So like I mentioned before, my student, she had an extra digit, having six fingers instead of five, having, you know, something extra. You usually hear mentions just digits or toes. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Broken footed. Okay, your refers to your walk. Okay, or how you handle things. Your walk in the Lord. If you're talking about foot, having a broken hand, that's referring to your word. Okay, um, let me go back to that. Okay, verse 18. For whatsoever man he be that hath a blemish shall not approach a blind man or a lame, he that hath a flat nose or anything superfluous, or a man that is broken footed or broken handed. Okay, so their lifestyle is their character is not as it ought to be, or has a crooked back, or is a dwarf, or hath a blemish in the eye. Kind of reminds me of the of where is that? I believe in Matthew where it talks about if your brother have a speck in his eyes, make sure that you remove the log out of your eye before you help him. Okay. Being self-aware. Scurvy, which is or scabbed, or hath his stones broken. No man that offereth, no man that hath a blemish of the seed of Aaron, the priest, shall come nigh to offer the offering of the Lord made by fire. He hath a blemish. Okay, so those are the remainder of the blemishes there. And the significance of each, some of them are self-evident, some of them are not so much. Okay, his stone's broken, it's reproductive, maybe he's a eunuch, so for example, Daniel, prophet Daniel, because he was taken into captivity and he was made a eunuch, he could not serve in the office of priest. Okay, so there are restrictions into what you can and can't do. Okay, so is there spiritual significance to that? I don't know. Okay, but this is just something that's kind of, that I'm just sharing because it's been something that's been brought up, and I'm just thinking, you know what? It's really interesting. Now, how does all this, you know, uh, teach toward Christ? Well, it talks about our life. It talks about our life as Christians. And again, blemish. What is a blemish? A definition: a small mark or flaw which spoils the appearance of something, um, or to spoil the appearance of something that is otherwise aesthetically perfect. Okay, so it keeps us from perfection. It keeps us from being holy. Okay, so these are things in our life that we need to look on, and need to see them, to recognize them, so we can correct these flaws. And how are these flaws corrected? These flaws are corrected by getting into the Word. And the more we delve into the Word, the more we surround ourselves with the Word, the more we allow the Word to permeate into us. I know there's a story of this of um, the strong Christian. Mosquito came, and he came and bit him, and as it sucked the blood out of him, it just flew away, singing, "There's power in the blood." I mean, it's a silly little joke, but there's it used to be that if when I was younger, when I was really strongly into the Word, that could squeeze me, and the Word would pop out of me. It'd pop out of your mouth. I like what Pastor said. What comes out of your mouth when you stub your toe? What comes out of your heart is, you're out of your mouth is what's in your heart. So if our heart is full of the Word, that's what comes out. That's what keeps us holy. That's what keeps us in the presence of the Lord. Amen. So I'll end it right there.